Hey guys, how's it going? All right. Bitcoin's been chilling on top of the macro value area high. The longer we're up here, the better. Honestly, if we want to have a strong continuation, we want to be hovering above 101K as long as possible. If we break that, then we could have pretty crazy rotations to the downside. How you guys doing? We got Noah, Oscar, Anomalous, Mike, Clement. What's up, guys? Jones. Okay. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't do a live yesterday, guys. I had my son Atlas wasn't feeling too hot. But yeah, we'll make up for it today. So we were talking about on the last live with this section right here. Had this uptrending momentum, right? And then we left this value area in confluence with losing the momentum here. So we lost momentum, retested the POC, got the lower low, and then rotated down to the value area low would be our primary target during a scenario like that. But then we had an extension down to our local demand zone right here and the macro value area high that's been weighing down the price for a while in the last range. So here we are in comparison to the last range on the daily chart. Right, and we are resting above this value area high right here. And right now we're trying to use it as support. We haven't got the higher high off it yet, but the moment that we do, our chances of just going straight to the all-time high is pretty high. Like, cause we're mitigating a previous key level now. Like we had a daily order block here. Let me just delete this. Right, we had a daily order block right here, but we fully mitigated already. And we have some liquidity still above us right here, around 107.5. But ultimately, like, we're fighting our final boss now. Like, we're at the final point where we're going to hit that all-time high. So it mainly depends on how, like, the higher time frames are going to behave. If we're going to get that, like, 4-hour candle close above, like, a 104.9, if we get that 4-hour candle close above here, then our chances of a rotation up is, like, insanely high. What happens after that, I don't know. We're more likely to probably have, like, a reversal in this area. Because right now, if we look at the on-chain analytics, it's pretty rough in terms of, like, exhaustion. If we go over to unrealized profits, we go to supply and a profit and loss, we're at a point where currently 98.5% of all the supply is currently in a profit right now. It doesn't mean we're going to reverse, but it definitely increases the probability when you have that many people in a profit. And that's why we want to go range bound for a bit. If we're ranging, then it resets this chart because people take profits, new people come in, and it reduces the exhaustion on a chart like this. And on charts like the Newport chart and the relative unrealized profits and losses chart, our positioning right now is pretty cool. So because we ranged from November and we had that massive falling wedge structure, right? We had a huge reset. We had a bunch of new investors come in around these lows and old investors come out at these highs right here. So we're creating a huge reset on the RUPL chart, and that usually, this is kind of like the final rule that I look for determining when we're at, like, the macro all-time highs. And we had such a huge reset that we're now in the same kind of positioning as if, you know, Bitcoin was at like 84K, right? So when Bitcoin was at 84K, the RUP chart is now at that same positioning while we're at 104K. So that's a huge, like, improvement in the REPL chart. So that kind of, think of it like an extension of the bull market target. And like what it tells us basically that we can double from where we are right now. Like 208K is the price tag now for when we will see this chart in the overheated zone. And that's assuming we don't have more structure like we had between like November and now. Or yeah, November and now, or like the other time when we were ranging from March to October. If we like have any other period of going range bound, then it extends our target even further. So, but right now, the target's $208,000 for the all-time high for this cycle, where I believe, like based on all these metrics, that we're going to have our blow off top and then start our bear market. How quickly we get there, I don't know, but like it used to be able to tell like roughly how long it would take for us to get to certain places, but now that we have these massive ranges, it's harder to determine. In most cycles, if you like zoom out, we have these momentums that never really break until all the on-chain rules are met, right? We have this uptrending momentum here, never broken. And you can look at like history and how like the momentum usually holds. We have these huge sprints in these bull markets and we get exhausted a heck of a lot faster. The range bound price action that we're experiencing prevents that from happening. So it's pretty interesting. I am watching this momentum here, this macro level here. We haven't tested that one in a while. We have a lot of negative space to it. So we have like a new level here that's kind of evolved. And what you can use momentum for is a tool to tell you how long it'll take for us to get to certain places. So if we maintain any momentum levels, let's say we maintain this evolving momentum here, it's basically suggesting that we can get to like 200K in about 280 days if we maintain that momentum. But that's a big prediction, I know. So we'll see what happens. 280 days. We can mark this down and see if we get to, where's 280? I guess if we, yeah. So if we go to the evolving momentum, yeah, we pretty much by the end of summer next year that we would hit that target. But we could always go straight up. Like Bitcoin tends to do that too. We'll see what happens. I'd zoom back in and see what's going on in the chat here. I'm gonna be trying to reorganize my chat so that's right above the camera here for you guys. So I'm not constantly looking to the left. Hey Kyle, good morning. Can we look at XRP? Yeah, we can look at XRP. You shorted on 104.9. Do you think we will retest? 104.9. That's a good spot, man. Yeah, I think it's very possible that we could retest. So we broke the local momentum already. We just got a change of character occurrence opposing against your entry as a short. So yeah, we could very well come up and retest that level, no problem. Unfortunately, we can look at a fib level and see if there's any opposing, like a change of character occurrence happening here for good confluence for a reversal back down. But this is kind of like your last barrier before it potentially reverses on you. So this white box is kind of like your last little guardian. So hopefully we get the change of character occurrence so you could stay in that short, but just be super cautious, man. Like we broke the local momentum here. Change of character above the VWAP. We're getting acceptance back inside this valley area here. And we have the confluence of the POC in this zone for a barrier to protect you. But so a lot is riding on what happens when we get into this white box zone. And if we get like a break of structure for a continuation, I would think about at least closing a partial or accepting a small gain. Great Bitcoin call yesterday. Thanks, man. I don't think I gave a signal though. I just gave a pathing update. So yeah, I'm glad it helped you out, man. Let's see, we can just delete that and replace it with an actual trend line here. Okay, so we need to look at XRP and vacations here. So we need to look at Cubic. Clocking in from the work toilet. Could you do tea? Okay, you're on the toilet, so we gotta do it now. All right, I'm looking at Cubic, and then I'll look at XRP. I know it's not the fair order, but someone's on the can, guys. We gotta hurry. We have... Yes, we were talking about the falling wedge on Cubic the last time we were looking at it, and the measurable target being around... 17, I think it's 17 parts per million, if I don't want to say all the zeros. Yeah, 17,742 is our primary target up here. And we're still on our way. It looks like we were chilling for a little bit along the way to the journey. But this is our measurable target still for Cubic. I know it's a slow climb, but this is a daily, or a larger like 4-hour daily structure. So you're basically doing a swing trade when this broke, right? You'd have your like stop loss way here, way down here, and you target up here, and your risk to reward ratio would have been like roughly around, well, it depends on what you took. The confirmation was roughly around here. So 1 to 5. So yeah, if you risk to lose $100, you would have gained, you'll be able to gain it close to 600, but $584. If you're more conservative with your stop loss, had it below this low here, it would have 1 to 3. So either way, it's a great trade setup, and we're not totally there just yet. But I'd say the last little barrier you need to worry about is this little one here. Off this wick high, there could be liquidity here used as exit liquidity, but Cubic doesn't have as much like market maker activity as like we do, so it's I would recommend looking up Cubic and seeing who their market maker is, and then research that market maker's behavior. Like go through all their assets that they control and see what kind of structure they form, like all the structures they form, the behavior that they do. Is there a lot of sweeps, or is it mostly formations? Okay, so we have, yeah, this little high here is our last little final boss. Congrats for anyone who took that. That was a pretty like transparent, easy setup. We have built a base here that could have caused emotion to keep you out. But yeah, we went range bound there, and then we finally broke out of that structure, retested, and now we're on our way up here. With structure like this, I'd be really mindful of the local highs, but we already had some exits against that, so we're good there. We zoom in and see how the behavior is doing. If you zoom in on lower time frames, we are on the 15 right now. So we have this low here. We need it's a key level that we do not want broken if you're in a long on this. If that breaks, that could cause a short-term or a complete reversal. If this breaks, I'll be targeting this POC at least for the potential reversal here. It doesn't mean it won't continue to go up towards its target, but definitely reduces the chances. So hopefully that level doesn't break. But that's Cubic for you, man. Hope that helps you out. I'll probably get back to work, bro, before you get in trouble. That's why we trade, so we don't get in trouble. So we got let's open up XRP, because we have an XRP request. Let me check that out. see how it's going. Last time we checked out was on May 7th, so basically like 7 days ago. Okay, so we broke evolving momentum inside this range that we've been bouncing off of the previous all-time high here. I just marked it as local support. Technically not local support, but yeah, so we broke this downtrending momentum internal here, and then we got this broad momentum here that broke. We retested off of the POC in confluence with that level, and now we're getting a rotation up to the Valerie high. At this area, I would be preparing for shorts. Most people would be traditionally preparing for shorts in this zone. The behavior of the structure usually defines a rotation to the top side. We would have to watch out the where we are. It's pretty much where you want. You don't want to be like entering longs around this zone unless we have like a local range that you can like behave off of. Like we're looking at the daily time frame. So like in this scenario right here, there could be like some longs you can jump in on, but you should be like mostly short bias while being in this area, like preparing for shorts. Most of your like the safer and long opportunities are at the lower side of the value area here. So I'll get your short goggles on for XRP. We have internal momentum here. So the same way we track the downtrending momentum, we're now tracking the uptrending momentum to help define when we might get that reversal, or the negative space could help us in guidance with the pace of the buyers to determine if we're going to be range bound. So right now we are, if we zoom in on the 15-minute, looks a little bit like cubic, where we had that like break structure continuation here. A strong low is relatively in the same location. Don't want to lose that. And got uptrending momentum here. We could be getting squeezed. When it comes to this level of resistance, I have a hard time trusting this pull here, so I'd recommend like making sure to look at the order books, see where the sellers actually are, so you can use the sell wall. Like let's say for example, there's a sell wall here, like on the point of interest. Then that can help determine like how you draw your trend line if you want to have like a proper alarm set up to prepare for a short or a potential continuation up. So yeah, I don't trust this pull, but I'd recommend like looking at the order books for your resistance line here. It could be like a rising wedge. We either way, it doesn't really matter. We know the behavior where the liquidity is being taken, like it, and where it's being added, right? Most of the order flow is suggesting that the liquidity is below us. We could confirm that on the liquidity heat map. So let's do that. Can we look at Ondo? Yeah, we can do that. And DAG as well. Okay, so let's pull up XRP quick. I just want to show you guys yeah, 1 day and 10 hours. Okay. Yeah, so most of the liquidity is being taken from above us. Our last leg up took quite a bit, and now we have more whale liquidity below us. It doesn't mean we're going to go down, but when you are picking a target or trying to control your bias, using liquidity as bias control is a really good rule to help increase your win rate. Meaning you'd use like the liquidity to determine like, am I only going to be doing longs today, or am I only going to be doing shorts today, and just cut out make it so that you're like one-dimensional trader for that day. So here, around 248.9 is a huge key area for XRP. 248.9. We'll just mark 248. And 9. There we go. So here's where most of the wave liquidity is within this range-bound structure. It's right here. And I usually make, so if you guys ever look at my charts, I usually make these like pale yellow lines as like high liquidity zones. And we have the previous value high here, or macro value high, sorry. So there's our confluence for the shorts there. So we're getting squeezed against the value area high. So we have lots of reasoning to prepare for a potential short in this scenario right here. If we break through it, then awesome. Then we can prepare for a better short. Because when you're looking at like macro value areas like this, your objective is to try to prepare for a short for like a full rotation down. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but you want to prepare for it. And then if we have, and you also want to watch the point of control along the way down, any large volume shells, stuff like that. So that's XRP. I hope that helps you out. I'll leave this on the 15-minute chart for anyone who's looking at my XRP charts through my links, in case you need to look at this. We're testing the 618 right now. All right, what we got in the chat? Is the shorts you talked about still likely to play out? Well, the last short we talked about was this one from like here to here. Like that one played out. Well, we also have a like reasoning to suggest that like we could prepare for like a much bigger rotation down if we lose 101. Like this is going to be a huge key area for defining a more potential macro reversal. If we look at the daily structure, like we could come down to 93K again if we behave the same way that we did last time we were range bound in this zone, right? Every time we got to the value high, we had a correction and came down to the value low. So that's what we prepare for when we're up here. And if we get the higher high though, like I was saying on like the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame is gonna be really important to watch. If we get a closure above this full body high here at 104, here, let me just delete this. We don't need that anymore. That was to mark a liquidity target. Like we don't, yeah, 104.864 around here. If you get a full body close above this, we could get a rotation to 109. The easier trade would be the short, though, obviously. No one likes to long at a value area high, especially a macro one, to target like all-time highs. It feels uncomfortable. So, but as long as you're using like your stop losses and you have your rules and you follow them, you have the statistical advantage to make money in this space. So we have gone over XRP. We've gone over Cubic. How is SNEC looking? We can look over SNEC too. Trying to find the order here of the requests. We got, I think DAG was next in the list. So look at DAG and then we'll look at SNEC. We looked at DAG last time we were doing a live. I'm not a fan of their marketing style, I'll tell you that. It's pretty annoying. Let's go to Cubic. I mean, a KuCoin. Okay, so they bounced off their macro point of control to the upside for this structure. This structure is biased to be short. I'm glad we got what happened internally inside of the structure. So we got the bounce off the 50-day EMA here. We got the higher high close, and I wouldn't have trusted that break, to be honest, that close there, unless I saw that we were clearing the order books. This definitely would have been a time where you definitely want to like look at the order books and see if there was giant sell wall, maybe at the 200-day, so you can feel confident about potentially entering a trade like that. Otherwise, I would stay out with the barrier right like that in my face, right? We are mark this as a key level. Yeah, so we broke our key level. We can come up now. We have potential liquidity here, here, here. We can prepare for potential reversals. We have a daily, or is that a 4-hour? A 6-hour order block right here. Pull a fib from this high to this low. So we can potentially find weakness mitigating this order block, and then maybe prepare for the lower side of this Fibonacci pull for potential opposing change of character for a reversal. Left the value area here. All right, we hit our previous value area high. In a moment of our break, we broke past the previous POC. It's actually a relatively strong one. Zoom in. The lower time frame structure is pretty blocky. It's a low market cap asset. You can see here that we had like a massive whale try to get out. Whenever you see weird crap like this, where the price action is just insanely horizontal, it's usually a result of a decentralized limit order. Like someone is in a giant liquidity pool and they have a massive limit order, and the price just can't get past it until it's fully filled. And it might not have gotten fully filled because we had that collapse right after. So I would be marking this level in case there's still a giant limit order there. Like futures limit orders, like the price aggregator, sometimes like will deviate into it. You'll see wicks into it, right? But when you have like a decentralized or a spot limit order, they just create a huge horizontal like structure like that. So I'll be watching this zone. I'd recommend watching this zone here on DAG because that could just keep it from going down lower. And check their large liquidity pools and see if maybe they have a giant limit order there. Or maybe that it might be completely filled now, but I doubt it. But I'd still be preparing for a retest this high. We're flagging right now. Some of them are bearish while they're active, but they're statistically more likely to break to the upside. So that's DAG. I hope that helps. What we have next, how is SNEC looking? You were practicing on Blowfin yesterday. Oh, nice. Can you evaluate Ethereum? Yeah, we can look at Ethereum right after SNEC, because Ethereum has a lot of control over the Cardano price action, and the Cardano price action has a lot of control over SNEC too. So I think we might have a SNEC chart. I did an analysis on it the other day. Posted on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. If we have a pretty big macro target for it. So I didn't do the analysis on this chart, apparently. I was curious to see what the liquidity was like for SNEC, and it's about like close to like $10 million worth of liquidity. Its market cap, though, is like $300 million. So that tells us if you want to see this thing get to a $600 million market cap, it technically only needs $10 more million to do that. Doesn't need very much funds because it's the growth of assets are relative to their liquidity pool. A lot of people don't understand that or don't realize that. So it's a lot like a bank in the sense where you can't really anticipate that all the funds are actually there, right? So in crypto, it's insanely transparent about that. Like the bank isn't going to tell you that they only have like 4% of your actual money. Like they'll never say that. But in crypto, like they have no choice but to show you that. So all you got to do is look at like platforms like Dex Screener, and you'll be able to see exactly how much liquidity is actually inside the asset. And so SNEC only needs $10 million to get to double its market cap from 300 billion to 600 million. It's currently at like close to 4 cents. So I can see it getting to, not 4 cents, sorry, 0.003, like almost like half of a penny. The current structural target is we broke out of this downtrending momentum in confluence to a break of an inverse head and shoulders. So clear signs of accumulation. The measurable base target for SNEC is pretty wild. We got a move that suggests that we can go all the way back up to this previous value area high here. And that, like percentage wise, that is massive. That is like 93%. If you're going to be conservative, I would be targeting, like this doesn't feel very conservative, but I could be targeting like up here on this previous value area low. And then prepare for your exit there. And your, like depending on your stop loss guard, because we don't really have a really dependable one now, unless it's way down here. It looks like that area might be under a threat locally short term soon. So I'd be waiting out on potentially jumping in along on this. But it'd still be like a 1 to 3.68. Now internally this is what I'm worried about. Like the current structure is showing signs of distribution, like people are selling. So I think that we could have a pullback first before pumping up. We have this uptrending momentum. If it fails, like the structural bias of this posture suggests that we'll come down to here. So preparing for this as a target. And if we get a bounce, and maybe break momentum within this potential structure, then you can jump in on the change of character occurrence, target the highs, and then hope for the break for the continuation. So you could front run the entire move and have a much safer play. And you want to have as much safety when it comes to assets like this, because look at these, like sometimes you get these crazy wicks. Like depending on the exchange you use, like you can get knocked out unnecessarily. Right? So just be cautious. That's SNEC. We got asked to look at, what was the next one? We have Ethereum. Yeah, let's take a peek at Ethereum. That's one that everyone usually holds. We last looked at it 2 days ago. Yeah, it looks like we're preparing for shorts too last time. We're looking at this range here. We had uptrending momentum. Didn't look like it gave you much time to jump in on the short if you're using my rules. But yeah, it ultimately hit the target of the value area low, extended it past, hit its local demand zone relative to Bitcoin's like 101K. So 2400, sorry, it's like relative to the 101K level for Ethereum. And that basically means that we might have a little bit of relative strength right now with Ethereum. Like we're getting, so that might tell us that could see the dominance probably shifting strongly to the downside for Bitcoin. We are kind of flagging right now. Preparing for a potential continuation. Or to prepare for a top. When you have like flags like this, like a lot of people will generate the target based on the high to the last area of consolidation, click and drag to last retest of the low, and give you a generative target from that, suggesting if the momentum were to continue after the reset, that we would have a target like this. However, with these structures, you always got to be aware of the high right here, because there's usually a liquidity resting above them, and that can be used as exit liquidity, and it could actually generate a larger double top. So be aware of both scenarios, because we could get an SFP here. It's a really good spot actually to prepare for an SFP. So I'd mark the wick right here if you're an SFP trader, and mark the body if you want the alarm to prepare for the SFP. So set the alarm to this if you want to SFP trade this, potentially, if it confirms. Right now, we got an ascending double bottom in the lower time frames here. Getting above a previous POC, trying to use it as support. If we get that higher high, break a structure, we can get that continuation up to these highs right here. I'd prefer if we break lower before doing that, so we can use this as a potential key level for a safer rotation up. So our change of character level is like way up here. And right now we're using Bitstamp chart. It's not the best one for finding if areas have been claimed, but we have here like a full body close above that would also help determine the full rotation to the upside. So I'm hoping that we get a pullback first before we go up for Ethereum. I'm going to leave this here because I'm kind of curious to see if that target gets hit. But yeah, we're looking good. So long, basically I've been saying for a while, like so long as we're below like $2,000 for Ethereum, you're getting it at basically a discount relative to this, like the behavior to this market. Like it's insane. Like having it lose momentum, like a legacy support like that, a huge amount of opportunity for accumulation. It's always nerve-wracking trying to buy when you lose levels like that. We'll see what happens when we get there. I would really love to see it get back to $3,000 again. Get back inside this macro range here. Get back inside that macro value area, then we have a chance to fight the $4,000 is a huge key level that's been keeping it down. Yeah, that's Ethereum for us. That's what I'm preparing for. I'll leave it on the 15-minute chart for you guys, for anyone who's using the link, so you can monitor it this way. All right, Bitcoin's almost inside our Fibonacci level. We got the POC confluence, the 5th level confluence. We just need the structural confluence. Poyo, here, look at AI XBT. We're getting real close to flipping resistance to support and the volume gap after 24 cents. AI XBT. Oh, it's one of those younger ones that got above their 50 EMA. Let's see. You are close to a volume gap. I'm just looking at previous macro valley areas to help determine how it could help control the behavior of the current price action. Very low. Control. There you go. All right, cool. All right, marked most of the key levels. The value area low, the previous value area low and the previous value high are really close to each other. Basically, if we see this value area high used as support, we'd have simultaneous acceptance into this value area for a potential rotation to its value area high. In this case, we have some confluence with this previous POC for an order block. I doubt there's residual orders there, but it doesn't mean traders aren't going to behave off of it after seeing it. So we can treat it as an order block, obviously, but when it's aged like this, think of it like time kind of adds weakness to order blocks. So yeah, we're fighting that previous value area high. We're using the previous POC as support. We're creating like an uptrending level of interest. Zoom in. Our key levels here for a strong reversal. I think breaking 1962, I can see it's getting a rotation down to this area of confluence right here. We've got the head and shoulders against the previous value area high. So I'm hoping that we go range bound. We're testing soon a uptrending level of interest here that could give us that rotation up. But like I said before, the moment we get this level acting as support with a higher high, with a break of structure, then we can start potentially targeting 29 cents. But right now, it's looking like it's getting a little weak. And so I'm worried that if we break this key level here, we would have a simultaneous break of the local point of control, the uptrending momentum, and we might just go right through this value area low and target this area here. So I'd mark this zone here as an area of interest to prepare for potential longs. If that confirms. So just mark 1962. If that acts as resistance or you get an hourly body close below it, then we're likely coming down here. But structurally, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's going to go for a continuation just yet. That could change over time. It looks like we're going to be range bound likely at least till here, this uptrending momentum. And then we can see what kind of structure we have, if we're getting squeezed or not. Because we are kind of getting slightly squeezed. We got the downtrending momentum here. We got the uptrending momentum here. So we have like an apex point roughly around the same spot of our uptrending point of interest. And I can mark that out here for you. So there's our point of it, yeah, apex point right here. Hopes that helps, man. Appreciate you jumping on. HNS, yeah. Bitcoin. Getting a tiny bit of a pullback against the 618 level. I kind of want it to come up to here for a potential SFP, but I don't at the same time because we know one person that chats in a short right now, so we can't jeopardize the dude's short. But yeah, we're at a confluence zone for a reversal here. Okay. Wagner talking about rats. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, eh? Rats broke off a daily formation resistance. That's a huge sell wall at 3185. A whale sold and got it back down. I guess it's squeezed. I think we have a rats chart, so that'll be easy to pull up. There we go. Rats. Oh yeah, I was practicing Fibonacci on rats. Like right here. I was seeing how well like rats behaved off of fibs. And when it's trending, holy crap, it's a good one. Zoom out. I'm gonna have to get rid of all that noise. I'm sorry. Let me zoom in on that. Control, click, drag. Delete. All right, zooming out. We can delete this. That's a previous short from way back in the day. Over here. It was a great one, honestly. Let's delete this. Try to get sync with our full bodies. I can see what you mean by the sell wall, which we're probably likely right here that you're talking about. Fight against it for a while. You get a horizontal level. So the chances of that being a sell wall, even if you're not looking at the order books, you can kind of tell like there's a sell wall behavior. We might have completely mitigated it here, but not before we came right back down. You know, massive double distribution here. They kind of pulled. They have multiple value areas within the value area. I would actually recommend separating this from here to here. Seeing how we're behaving locally. But still pay attention to that macro value high. Because we come down and we lose that as support. See, act as resistance. We lose the local value area low, macro momentum, macro value area high. A massive double top structure forming, sell wall in our face. So we might be getting squeezed down, man. It does look like it's everything's starting to point down. We're still far away from a lot of confirmations for those reversals, but a lot of things are starting to point to the downside. See, like Rats has a lot of Bitcoin pairing liquidity, so likely because it's an ordinal, so whatever Bitcoin does, you can use it as confluence with your RATS TA. For now, though, we're basically getting squeezed into like a rising wedge. It looks relatively bearish. These technical targets are usually the bottom side of the structure. We do have some confluence along the way down for potential like bounces and reverses back up, but that's the primary target. Bitcoin got a potential 15-minute bearish engulfing tweezer top right here. We got to close below this previous body here to determine that. 20 seconds left. Those are very bearish by themselves. Like that alone will likely just bring it right here to 1037. The R&R isn't really worth it. The 1.79. So it's not something I'll take. If the R&R is not there, you usually get a reduced amount of volume and a reduced amount of trade participants anyways. If everyone else sees your idea, think about what everyone else is thinking. Are they going to behave off of it? If we break, like this is bearish, so we could probably likely see it come down to here. If we break this, then we can have a continuation to here. Oh, thanks for the tip, man. I just saw the chat there. Crypto Pollo. Could you check weeks? And Ondo. Ondo has been my best performance cycle. Ondo is great, man. I started buying Ondo as well. It's not my best performer, but I didn't get in when you got in. So I've been keep my eyes out on it, like try my best to keep my eyes on it for potential range bound opportunities to like constantly keep reducing my average. But my average is around like 90 cents. So Ondo, we looked at this 2 days ago. We're getting that pullback that we were talking about now with Bitcoin. Just closing some tabs. There's our Ondo chart. Ondo macro is looking good. So we had this falling wedge here that gave us the measurable target of hitting up here. We've had a structure here that defined this as our target. And we're still kind of like, we were close to 75% of the way there. We're consolidating now off of the 200-day EMA. If we zoom out further, you can see that we're breaking a really important macro structure. So this could help determine that we're going to have a macro reversal finally on Ondo, because we've been downtrending for, since this high to the low was 114 days. Doesn't feel like 114 days. I don't know why, but it only feels like a couple months. But I'm glad that we're finally starting to see signs of a strong reversal. We barely held off of this previous area as support. We held off it pretty strong here, lost it, bounced off the value area low, than ever since we've been in an uptrend. And if we zoom in, it doesn't look hot on in the lower time frames, but the macro bigger picture, it looks great. So right now we are on top of a previous value area high. This had a lot of control over the price action for Ondo historically. And now the current value area, if lost, we'd have immediate acceptance into this previous value area here. And we can get a full rotation down to the value area low at 93.92. But this point of control has been holding it up. We have like a little micro demand zone here. Bounced off of it twice. So we'll see if that holds up for us. I don't want Ondo to be squeezed between the 50 and the 200. It makes trading a nightmare. So, because we have automated responses off of these. Like lots of people use bots off of the 200 and the 50 EMA. So it makes the price action a little wonky and weird when we get between them. So we'll see if it what happens here. I'm hoping that we get like an internal momentum break. We just bounce off the value area low and we come up, and then get a continuation, because right now we're getting slightly squeezed to the downside. So I'm hoping that we break that, get the continuation up. Yeah, the trading in here is going to be annoying. But we got our bearish change character occurrence here, so a slight front run to the order block here. Where do you see Sui getting to? $20? Cheers. $20. Sui. I don't think it's going to get to $20, guys. No. Oh, we hit a shell confluence zone for Sui. We've just been gunning it towards this target. We had this ascending double bottom to start the big run after the break of momentum. We just teleport to that target, which is ridiculous. We flagged strong continuation into supply concern. We're still fighting that zone, looks like. I believe this is the all-time highs for Sui, but I'm just going to double check, zoom out a bit. Yeah, those are the all-time highs. I don't think $20 is in the cards for Sui, no. If we doubled the amount of interest in this space, then I could see Sui getting to is like $9 or maybe even $10. But everything's going to be based on Bitcoin's positioning. You got to watch, like I highly, highly, highly recommend like learning this chart, guys. Because this chart will guide you into when an altcoin season is going to start. It will guide you into knowing when a bear market is going to start or when a bull market is going to start. Like, all that data comes from how people are in terms of their gains. Like, cause it'll help you determine the behavior of all the asset holders. Can we look at weeks and dot? Okay, so a dot was the first, and then we can look at weeks. And I gotta head out because I have a call with the community for trade hunting very soon, so I gotta jump into that. But yeah, it was dot first, right? So we got dot. Last we checked it was on the hourly chart, May 12th. So here's the hourly chart. We beat our little zone, so we can. It's giving us a hard time at first. We went range bound it a little bit. I was watching for potential shorts when we got up there, like right here. I wanted this level to break in order for it to be a safe short. We never broke it. We instead got the strong continuation. I can delete that. I can delete this. We can delete this. And now it looks like we're at a macro point of control. Oh, we are in a macro area of interest right here. So TradingView, I'm sure you guys might have noticed, has been messing up lately with the POC levels and stuff like that. So when you rotate between different time frames, you'll notice that the your POC might change. And I know it's super frustrating because, like, especially with beginners won't know which areas to focus on. What you mainly want to be watching is these volume spikes here, right? Think of it like if you were to place a marble somewhere, what would happen, right? If a price action were to like fall through here, we'd move quickly, slow down, move quickly, slow down. And each one of these things are like a wall, a barrier that can prevent price action from going further. So if you're struggling with the fact that there's a bug going on with TradingView and constantly changing the positioning of your valley area, like based on the time frame that you chose, then just know like this data, we can treat this like as a potential point of control because it only takes about, I'd say, like 7 days of volume would make this the POC anyways. So I have that level marked right here. It's a big point of interest. So if we break past that, you can anticipate price action to move very quickly again to about $5.80. So we zoom in on the 4 hour. You can see we're currently potentially double topping off of it. We don't have the full structure yet or the full picture yet. We had this double top. And now we're kind of fractalizing to build a potential larger one off this previous value area high and point of control confluence zone. And that can give us a rotation down to 450 if we break that level. That's dot. Locally, pull fixed range. But internally in this zone here, you could, like, if this key level broke, yeah, we're going to have a massive double top. But here, you would typically want to prepare for internal longs if we get the break of momentum and the internal change of character occurrence. You can start targeting these highs and participate off of this like it's range bound, like a range bound price action. Let's see, weeks was the next request. WEEX. I don't think I've done TA on this. Did I see that? Yeah, WEEX. Weeks token. Is this a deck? Looks like it might be an exchange token. Super young. Okay. All right, so currently it's at all-time highs. Price discovery. We have uptrending momentum here, showing you the pace of the buyers on the daily. So watch this as a potential key level. If you're doing any shorts, it could act as a barrier. If you're doing any longs, it could act as confluence. We just mitigated a daily order block here. Yeah, and right now we're at previous all-time highs. So 100% of holders, unless they're buying right now, are in a profit right now for WEX. And mark the local fixed range from this point here to the area where we escaped. A little lower. There we go. Wait for that to populate. I don't know why it's taking so long. But we're currently flagging right now. We have this downtrending support. We got downtrending point of interest here. If we get the lower low, this will be our key area for a potential continuation on a flag. I'm not sure why my fixed range isn't updating yet, but let's pretend that the value area high is right here alongside with this area. What you don't want to see is price action come up, use it as resistance and create a lower low. We have that confluence. The flag is likely not going to break to the upside. In fact, we'll probably continue down to these levels here. We have a, looks like a relatively strong order block here. This one looks weak, but this one's pretty strong. So just watch out for this key zone here at 0.329. I'll mark that zone right now. What is going on with my fixed range? Come on, bro. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Well, we can visualize based on the price action. So the price action suggests that the POC would be roughly around here. Right? And the value area low, the value area high would be roughly around, this value area high roughly around here. And the value area low should be around relatively tight to the POC here. I know that's not probably accurate. We need to see it actually populate there, but you can kind of give an idea based on like where most of the support and resistance is, where the point of control, the biggest point of interest is, where all the trade volume is. It's roughly around this zone. So yeah, look out for acceptance into this area because we can get that rotation down here. We're at an all-time high, so we have good reasoning for hype right now, but it doesn't mean we should be jumping in on any longs. You want to make sure that we actually confirm like a change of character occurrence or a break of structure for a continuation. That's pretty much it for that, man. Let's go over to Bitcoin dominance really quick. We can see that we lost uptrending momentum here. We had evolving momentum broke as well. I was anticipating that it could reach up as high as 66.5. Some people were apparently even targeting as high as 67. But as long as we were in this red zone, we're at a threat for a correction. Right? So we could be coming down to retest this 200 EMA. If we were looking at this as an asset, we'd be targeting right here. Right? We'll be targeting way down here, prepare for a potential reversal. So I'll be watching around that zone as well, like 61%. Prepare for reversal there. The others dominance, we were pretty much spot on that reversal warning here. Like before this candle printed, I anticipate that this could be an SFP zone that we could watch out for. We got a really good SFP, and at that moment would have warned you to prepare for a really strong rally on alts to at least this barrier. And we broke past that barrier after a couple of days. Now we're trying to use it as support. We mitigated a daily order block. So that's telling us that a majority of assets also mitigated a potential order block if they have a lot of confluence with this chart. But we're between the 200 and the 50 EMA. So we'll see these start to coil up and hopefully eventually cross, but that would take a few months for them to cross. If we get past this zone, I've already said it a couple dozen times, but here's my key area that I'll be watching out for a potential strong correction around 90, like 9.8%. So that's others dominance. Others dominance is down today by about 1.2%. But Bitcoin dominance is up and USDT dominance is up a bit. So it's telling us that funds are starting to flow out of alts today, at least, into stable coins and Bitcoin. You're the bomb, Kyle. Thanks, man. Kyle, could this be a head and shoulders on Bitcoin? We're probably looking at the lower time frames when you're saying that. Then let's zoom in. So you probably mean inverse head and shoulders. Unless you're looking at the super low time frames. Like the 3 minute we have like kind of like a head and shoulders behavior, but it's ascending channel. And if you're talking about inverse head and shoulders, we kind of have that kind of behavior here. It's not very complete, but yeah, maybe if we held up here and stacked liquidity instead of taking liquidity, I would have considered this a inverse head and shoulders, but we took liquidity instead of stacking it for a stronger continuation up. Like, and the inverse head and shoulders create huge, massive resets in the market when they have the right shoulders formed. But that V-shaped recovery is usually unsustainable. So you want that consolidation for like the stronger measurable based target and for it to stack liquidity above us. But in this case, we did kind of the unsustainable route and we started taking liquidity here instead of getting a proper reset. And now we're stacking more liquidity below us. So we have a better reasoning for coming down than we do going up. What about Karma? When will pump? Well, it's been pumping. Let's go to the chart here. Karma is, we had another double bottom. Every time we had a double bottom off of the previous all-time high, we usually have a relatively decent reaction. Like the first time here was a 40% move. The last time was a 100% move. We got out a lot of whales here. So now when we come up here, we'll have a better chance of breaking through this because a lot of whales like left. We double bottomed again, and so far we have been going up 15%. We're currently at a supply risk where some buyers might be trapped after this drop, so they might want to get out of this zone. So just prepare for a potential reversal here, but typically when we have these double bottoms, we get to the opposite side of the value area, which is right up here at around 8 cents. So we'll see if we get to 8 cents and we're not able to get that continuation. What I'm kind of hoping for is a little bit more reset activity, where at the top of the range we see some big players leave and new investors come in, and then complete a macro double bottom for a strong reversal. But it's very low market cap. Like, we're looking at a market cap of 417K. So it takes a very small amount of money to move this thing to the upside right now. And the supply is really low too. And the supply is constantly decreasing from its tokenomics. So it gets easier and easier and easier to pump. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, right now it's looking bullish. Just holding that bad boy. I really like my NFT. Oh yeah, they had Karma Flux NFT. It's free money. Why not? Yeah, we're working on something really big right now for Karma. I have like a countdown timer built into the exchange, into the DEX here. Not the DEX, the announcements here. So you'll see there's a time. If you hover your mouse over top of this, it's a timer telling you when everything's going to kind of evolve for karma. A bunch more utility. Can you share your rats charts? Yeah, I have. Let me make sure that we're on a proper chart time frame. There we go. It prints every month, yeah. Well, even if you're just holding karma itself, you're also getting reflections too. So you're getting passive income just by holding the token. I'm gonna try to join the trade hunting call. Oh, Matthew, yeah, you're saying you're switching things around. So message me if you have a hard time, Matt, and I will DM you the link to get into the call. So I know you're supposed to be able to get in there. Let's show some support to Kyle and hit the like button. Thanks, man. Well, guys, I got to head out. It looks like I done everyone's tea request. I'm very, very sorry if I missed anyone. It looks like I got everyone, though. Appreciate everyone who's jumped on. I've got to jump into another call with the community in 5 minutes. We're going to be trade hunting for the next 2 hours, looking for stuff that's safe to take. And if there isn't anything safe to take, then we will just talk about any questions you guys have. Where in the Discord is the call? That's a good question. So when you go to, if you're on the InvestiShare side, you just go to Elite Coaching Calls. You will see the schedule here, and you click on the button, and it'll bring you right to the call. We have a button relative to each type of call that we do. So today is trade hunting, so you click on the trade hunting call. If you're in Fanova, you want to go to coaching calls here, and it's the same spot. If for any reason you do not see those two channels, it means you might not have the proper membership tier to get access to it. But we try, like, once in a while we'll give like free access to like the standard members that are just there for the signals. But yeah, that's how you find it. It's pretty simple. And there's a little picture as well that you can save onto your device. We will be changing Brian's call to be 15 minutes later because my lives overlap his call. So what is Karma? Karma is a token that I created 3 years ago. Technically 4 years ago, but we migrated it into the Binance Smart Chain 3 years ago. It used to be something that you could mine using GPU, but it got really expensive, and I wanted to make something that was a lot more green, I guess that would be the best way of saying it. So we made like an automated passive income system that doesn't require staking. It doesn't require mining. It just requires you to hold it in your wallet, and you get what's called like a private airdrop. So it's not seen as a transaction into your wallet, but your balance keeps on growing. Kind of similar to the same technology as Algorand. You won't see a transaction, you'll just see the rebalancing, but the rebalancing in this sense is just constantly increasing it based on transactions that occur on the network. On to 113. Oh geez, Ondo just teleport off its Valerie low. That's crazy. What's Bitcoin doing? Barely moving. Okay, so Ondo's got some relative strength right now. But I definitely gotta go, guys. Man, that's pretty interesting to watch. But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta jump into the call with the community. Thanks for everyone for jumping on, and have yourselves an awesome day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye.